All right, let's talk about a book that really sticks with you. We're diving into The Boys in the Light by Nina Willner. And what's so incredible about it is that it's not really about big historical events. It's about identity, it's about courage, and it's about those quiet, tiny moments that end up defining a whole life. But before we get too deep, let me ask you something. Just think about this for a second. What if your whole life, I mean, everything, your choices, your future, even who you think you are, was all dictated by borders and ideas drawn up by people you'll never even meet? Well, that's the exact world Nina Willner drops us into. Now, the setting for the story is very real. It's divided Germany during the Cold War. But the focus here, it's probably not what you're thinking. Because what makes this book so powerful is that it completely ignores the big political stage. It doesn't really care about the generals or the politicians. Instead, it zooms right in on the people, the actual human beings living through this. We follow these young men who are growing up in a world where freedom, that's just not something you can take for granted. It's all about what they actually went through, their private fears, their secret hopes. So, okay, let's get into the setup here. And don't worry, this is all spoiler-free. The story basically follows a group of young men growing up on opposite sides of this divided world. We're talking physically divided, ideologically divided, the whole shebang. They're from the same country, they share the same culture, but their lives, completely different. And believe me, that divide is huge. On one side, in the East, your life is all about restriction, surveillance, and control. There's this constant low-level fear that your neighbor, your friend, could be an informant. Then you look to the other side, the West. Sure, there's freedom, but it's not that simple. It comes with this gnawing uncertainty, this incredible pressure to make it. So you've got two totally different worlds existing right next to each other. And this is what's so brilliant about it. This is not some simple black and white good guys versus bad guys story. Not at all. Willner dives right into the messy, complicated gray areas of real life. Yeah, she shows how these huge systems can shape people. But, and this is the important part, she also shows how people find ways to push back, how they hang on to who they are, even when it feels almost impossible. And that's when the book really turns the tables on you. It makes you ask yourself some tough questions. Seriously, what would you have done? Would you have kept your head down, played it safe? Or would you have risked absolutely everything for just a chance at something different? It's those questions that really pull you in and don't let go. That feeling of being put in their shoes, that brings us right to the emotional heart of this book. Because this story isn't about memorizing historical facts. It's about what history felt like, what it felt like to actually be there. And man, this is where the writing is just on another level. The way the author does this is just so smart. She doesn't lecture you or give you some dry history lesson full of dates and boring names.
No. Instead, she just picks you up and places you right inside it all. Suddenly, you're not just reading a book anymore. You're there. You're living through the tough choices, feeling the fear, and holding on to those little bits of hope right alongside these characters.
And wow, the emotional impact of that is just intense. I'm telling you, there are going to be moments where you literally have to put the book down just for a second to catch your breath. Not because it's confusing, but because it feels too real. A character's tiny act of courage or a quiet moment of sadness just hits you so hard. That's how powerful this writing is. And it helps that the author, Nina Willner, really knows her stuff. She actually has a background in intelligence and international affairs. So when you're reading, you can tell the details aren't just something she looked up in a library. She understands this world from the inside out. But don't worry, she writes about it in a way that anyone can connect with. It's super accessible. Okay, so let's talk about the big ideas in this book. And yes, some of them are pretty heavy, but the story handles them in such a real, human way. These are the kind of themes that will just get stuck in your head long after you finish the book. You've got this constant battle between freedom and control, and it really makes you think, what does freedom even mean when you break it down? Then there's identity. Like, who are you really when the world around you is constantly trying to define you? The book also looks at courage, but not the flashy superhero kind. We're talking about the quiet, gut-wrenching courage it takes to make a tough choice that nobody else will ever even know about. And of course, it digs into division, showing that it's about so much more than just a physical wall. It's about the walls we build in our own minds. But the thing is, these aren't just topics for a book report. They feel real. They're questions you'll start asking about your own life. And trust me, they don't just stay on the page. They follow you around. So you might be thinking, okay, this all happened a long time ago. Why does it matter now? And that's a totally fair question. The short answer? Because it's more relevant than ever. Sure, the backdrop is the Cold War, but the ideas at the heart of the story, they're absolutely timeless. Think about it. We still live in a world that's full of division. We're still wrestling with these huge questions about freedom and who we are and what's true. What this book really gives you is perspective. It's this incredible reminder that history isn't just some dusty old chapter in a textbook. It's a living, breathing thing that is still shaping our world and our lives, right now. Look, there are a million books out there, so what makes this one so special? I think it's this. The Boys in the Light doesn't just inform you, it actually transforms you. And how does it do that? Well, for one, it gives you a much deeper, more human understanding of history. You end up feeling a real emotional connection to what these people went through. And the story has this amazing trick where it feels incredibly personal, but also speaks to something universal in all of us. The kind of perspective you walk away with, you just can't get that anywhere else. If you boil it all down, this book is really a story about light, about how you find it even in the darkest of places, how you hold on to it when everything is trying to snuff it out, and sometimes about the courage it takes to risk everything for just a glimmer of it. Look, this book isn't loud, it isn't flashy, but it is so, so powerful. So I'll just leave you with this. Some stories aren't just meant to be heard, they're meant to be experienced. And this, for sure, is one of them.